again some example from the tracking variation. However, this tracking variation would be accelerated tracking variation, which means black will not play with d6. And in this variation things quite change, and white should be rather careful in some variations. e4, c5, knight f3, knight c6, d4, c takes d4, knight takes d4, g6. And now if white would like to get the same setup, it will not quite work, because after knight c3, bishop g7, bishop e3, knight f6, f3, short castle, and queen d2. Some may not understand that here actually black is a tempo up, because black did not yet play d6, and for this reason here of course black will play d5, and after d5 black gets a quite nice position. I mean, this is not a typical threat, this is not a typical trap. However, it's useful to know that this setup for white is not recommended here. If white would like to have this tactical position, he has to go for bishop c4 variation here. After bishop c4, short castle, for example, f3, d6, bishop b3, we get back into the main line in tracking variation. However, the main line with bishop c4 and bishop b3. The traps here actually I would like to show you are a little bit different. One trap could happen if white here tries to play h3, which is not recommended, and after castle, bishop c4. The idea of the setup would be that white wants to short castle, play bishop b3, and later on attack with f4 e5 or f4 f5. The problem, however, here is that black has a nice opportunity to take on e4, take on e4 and push d5. He gets back his piece, so now only move would be only move would be knight takes c6, because after bishop d3, knight takes d4, black wins the pawn and gets his piece back. So knight takes c6, b takes c6, bishop d3, take on e4, take on e4. And if you have a look actually at this position, we may think, okay, what is actually the problem here for white? I mean, white has a better pawn structure, everything seems fine, but the white king is not yet developed, and this black may use by playing queen a5 check. Now queen d2 and queen e5, attacking the bishop on e4. And after bishop takes c6, there is this nice move, bishop a6. Bishop a6 prevents white from short castling. Long castle is not possible anyway because of queen takes b2 mate. And if now white takes on a8, he will lose immediately with queen takes b2, rook d1 or c1, and bishop c3. And for example, if white here plays c3 to protect the pawn on b2, rook d8, queen c2 and rook b8 will be played, and now there are several threats. One threat is rook takes b2 at some moment and queen takes c3. Another threat could be bishop d3, another threat could be bishop h6. And I mean, from all these threats, white cannot really defend himself very well because his king cannot move anywhere. And this position actually is winning for black. Last but not least, there is one more famous trap in the accelerated tracking variation, which would go in the variation with bishop c4 and queen a5. After queen a5, the most logical move for some may be to play f3. However, f3 gets you into the trap. Best move here is to play short castle and then simply h3, bishop b3. I mean, first bishop b3, a3, f4, and the typical ideas. However, after f3, queen b4, the position becomes quite difficult. I mean, objectively here the best move is knight b5, but once you play knight b5 you have to know a lot of theory, and it's a quite sharp position, which you have to study, of course. But here, for those who believe they can simply go bishop b3 and get away with everything and then prepare queen d2 and long castle, actually they are wrong, because here there is this nice sacrifice, bishop knight takes e4. If f takes c4, there is simply knight takes d4 or bishop takes d4 and black is winning. Probably bishop takes d4 is more precise. And if, for example, knight takes c6, then we can take on c3, b takes c3, queen takes c3, king e2, and now d takes c6 will prevent white from taking on e4 because of bishop g4 check. So some games continued with bishop d4, but after e5, bishop takes c3, knight takes c3, king e3, and knight takes d1. Black actually is winning again because he will have 2 pawns up in an endgame. One more game went here with bishop e3, but even after bishop e3, b6, black will face enormous problems because of the threat bishop a6. Well, that's basically everything which you need to know about traps in Tracken or accelerated Tracken defense. And okay, probably it will not happen to you in your lifetime.